Hi, this is Kirk Smith with ICHE's Take 5. If you joined us for our last segment of Take 5, you heard us talk about the homeschooling gap theory. Kirk, I'm afraid there's going to be gaps in my kids' education if I homeschool. When I hear that response, I always say, well, I'm just glad I was public schooled, so there's no gaps in my education. When people realize I'm being sarcastic and they think about their own public school experience, they realize how much public school did not teach them. As a matter of fact, the more that I homeschool as a homeschooling father, I realize how much I didn't get or give as a public school teacher. So no matter what educative model you use, there's going to be gaps. And as parents, we must decide what gaps we can live with and what gaps we cannot live with. But there's really a greater issue at stake when we talk about gaps. When we use the idea of gaps, we are automatically, by default, saying there's a standard out there by which we're not measuring up or we're surpassing, whichever the case may be. There's a standard. And I think there's two questions that I teach my kids to always ask that homeschooling parents should also ask when it comes to this idea of gaps. And those two questions are this: why and who says? Number one, why? Why do we do it this way? Why do we think the public school gets it right and the homeschoolers don't? And whether we want to articulate that or not, I know there's a lot of people that think that just because of the fear that I hear in their voices when they homeschool. So why? I remember a story about a grandmother who cut off the end of the rump roast whenever she put the rump roast into the pan to put it into the oven. And her daughter watched this year after year, so when the daughter became a mother, she would fix the rump roast, she would cut off the end, put it in a pan, and put it in the oven and cook it. Well, one day she asked her mother, "Mom, why do we do it this way? Why do we cut off the end of the rump roast? You know, is it for the moisture? Is it a cooking technique? Why do we do it this way?" And the mother looked at her and said, "It didn't fit my pan, sweetheart." That daughter, now mother, had imitated her mother, thinking there was some secret remedy or some secret recipe. And in fact, it was very plain. It just didn't fit the pan. And I think a lot of times we homeschool the same way. We imitate others rather than by living by revelation from God's Word. Why do we do it? Public school is failing. It's failing in academics. It's failing socially. We don't even need to talk about the spiritual failures in this 21st century. Yet we feel this comparison with the public school as if they are the standard. Why? Why would we want to educate our kids like that? That's not real life. That's a socially engineered environment. Homeschooling is life integrated. The second question we must answer is, who says? Who says this is the standard? Who says that this is the way we should educate? In the public school, I'll tell you who says that. The politicians in Washington, D.C. Yes, that Washington, D.C. that's got us as a nation to $19 trillion worth of debt. They're so good economically, they want to take over the education as well. Doesn't that make you feel good? I remember Ronald Reagan saying the 9 most terrifying words in the human language, the English language, is, "I am from the government and I'm here to help." And is that not true educatively as well? Why would we want to follow a government who has consistently shown its incompetence? Who says? I think most people, even homeschoolers, they find the longest line and they get into it just to be comfortable. Even if the line's going the wrong direction. And it's proven statistically. Folks, we must have the conviction of heart and walk in faith of God's Word that God will lead us into the paths that we should raise our kids. He will teach us how to teach our kids math and English. I believe that God has wired our kids to learn. And it's the public school system that squashes that. We need to let our kids be who God made them to be, and then teach them within that context rather than pushing them in this little box and they've got to learn just this way. That's what education is about. That's what learning is about. So as you deal with homeschooling standards, why do we do it this way? Who says? They say we're the experts. Really? Look at our nation. Really? D.C. is the experts? Parents, here's the great news for you. God has made you the expert of your child. He will be there for you. He will teach you. He will show you things. He will bring along the curriculum that you need at the right time. All those things God will do. Trust Him. I want to invite you in just a couple of weeks to our ICHC Family Day at Mount Vernon, Illinois, on the beautiful Wren Lake. We have a great time of food, fun, and fellowship. It's a free event, though you're welcome to donate online. I do ask you to register, if you would, so we know how much meat to buy, the meat, drink. Paper products are provided by ICHE. We ask you to bring a dessert and a vegetable. And so we want you to come and have fellowship. Get around like-minded people. Talk about how you homeschool. That will help alleviate some of your concern of the homeschooling gap. Hey, this is Kirk Smith with ICHE's Take 5. God bless.